So,
you also share the slides with us because you can download.
Yeah, but let me explain. But remind me every lesson. Sometimes I forgot to start recording, and then you will lose the recording of the session. So, okay. Hello, everyone. This is, I'm Nassan, and I was a PhD student for Adrian, and I defended my PhD 1 year ago, and I'm working as a senior computer vision developer in a company called ABB. If you're all electronics engineering students? Biomedical? All of you?
No.
Okay, you are biomedical and the rest are electronics. So you should know ABB, at least the electronics engineers, because it's a company for creating different chargers, different robots. So yeah. And I'm from Iran, and before coming here, I was I studied computer engineering, and then after that AI, and then I worked for 4 years as a C++ programmer in a company, and then I started my PhD here in Belgium, and again, I was active in the domain of computer vision. During my PhD, I was mostly working with Python, but sometimes also with C++. Because what I mean is that, for research, for developing your research projects, you probably go for Python, but then it comes to product, you go to C++. And why, you will learn it during this course, why, you should go for C++. I think that's a quick introduction about me. And I'm giving this course, I don't know how many times, but every year, starting from 2018, I'm giving this course, and we are getting feedback from the students, and because based on those feedbacks, we change the course. Not completely, but sometimes mostly it's in the sense that we reduce the concepts, we reduce the topics that we teach, because we need to see if it fits to your programs or not. But the last update is like that, we teach the course for 10 sessions, 10 lessons. We will have one lesson only as a Q&A session in the middle of the course. Normally, we put it after your holidays, such that you have time to do your projects, not completely. I give you the project definition today, so you will learn, what the project definition is. I think you already know this course has no exam, but the exam is just your project, the project that you will do. But we want you, at least that's really my belief, that this course comes from my own experience from the work that I've done in Iran. I was also a student like you, and so I learned, the way that these professors normally teach C++, it's very theoretical. It's not in the way that if you go to a company, they will say put it aside. This is not a real course that you learn. But I think it's not the case for this course. I'm not saying it's perfect, but at least these are the things, if you go for an interview, these are the things that people will ask you about. So the interviewer will ask you, for example, what is the difference between overloading and overriding? Or what are polymorphism? What are the main principles of object-oriented programming? So, but I'm trying to answer those questions and make you ready that if you go for a company, starting doing your job, you're not a real junior or entry-level people. You will be someone who has at least some real knowledge about C++. So the project is defined like that, but we also want to keep it interesting for you. So we have 4 different topics. I will explain them later, but since sometimes this is still not very clear for the students, we'll have after 5 lessons, it's the time that you are almost ready to start your projects. We will have a Q&A session. Some years ago, 2 years ago, you would get a score. We would expect you to do half of the project by that time, and you would get a score. but starting from last year, it's not the case. So it's just for you. The Q&A session is only for you. You will come and you will ask any questions that you have. It's just for clarification, and it's just only for you. So there is no score. There is no fear there, because I saw that when it comes to the middle of the course, the students will be like, okay, they'll be more defensive than just learning the course. So, and then I said, okay, let's skip the course, the scoring at the end of the course, such that you focus on the learning part, then just, okay, your score. So that's, I think, what you need to know for the course. Sometimes, but I checked already, there is no holiday for our sessions, but if there is a holiday, or if suddenly I'm sick, hopefully not, then, okay, we may need to have a makeup session, but that would be a checking with you. About your project, based on the experience that I had with the students, I can say the students that come to, I will not check who comes to the class. We will have a recording of every lessons. You're not obliged to come here. I don't know what is ABB rule, but for me, at least I never reported that, okay, people were not in the class, so that's not important. But I can say from my experience with the students who come to the class can do their projects better because they ask questions. At the end of every lesson, the ones who ask questions, normally they are busy with their projects, and it's not like that, okay, you just come to the class, ask me a question, you get good score. Okay, it's just like, okay, you can have my help after every lesson, such that, okay, you say to me that, okay, I had this problem. What do you think about designing my project this way or that way? And then I can help you if I'm involved in the way that you are writing your project. Okay, I cannot have, like, sometimes students ask me to have like a separate individual meeting with them, 2 hours. That's not possible. I work in a company, I work here. That's not doable. But after every lessons, I have like 10 minutes, 15 minutes to discuss about your projects. So I suggest that, okay, you start doing your project, don't put it for the last minute. That time you will have probably many other projects from other courses, exams. You cannot do it at the end. So you need to do it gradually. So, any questions so far? No? Okay. So let's go to where you can get the information about the course. This is the information of the course from some years ago. You can have the slides there. I put the address. Unfortunately, I still don't have access to your Canvas. Otherwise, I would provide the information there. But till I already talked with Adrian, I sent him an email. But by that time, I will send the information in our team's meeting. You can get the link there. Our chats. For example, I forgot to say something. For your exam, we expect you to prepare some slides. Your projects would be between, okay, how many people you are? 9? But I think you are 9 in the, can you check on Canvas? 10? No, excluding Adrian. Adrian is not going to do a project with you, but so 9. Okay, that's good. Because our suggestion is that you do the projects with a group of 3 people. You choose your team members yourself, but if you don't, you have 2 weeks to choose your project topics and your team members. I will open, hey Kane, I need to access to Canvas, but on Canvas I will create some groups such that you can join with your team members there. And you will send also an email to my email address, which I will share, with your team members in CC. You choose a name for your team such that I can recognize that everything. And for your exam, we expect you to prepare some slides, and each one of you is responsible to know all the details of the projects. Okay, you will design the projects, you will define the task such that, okay, everyone is responsible for each part, but you will let every one of you is responsible to share the knowledge with the other one. You cannot come to the presentation day and say that, okay, that I was not responsible for this part, it was for the other one. Okay, no, that would not be acceptable. And for your presentation, for Q&A and also for presentation, Adrian will also be present. He will ask some questions. For Q&A, you will have 15 minutes per team. We will just check, okay, and we will say that, okay, what is missing in your project and what is really good, what are your mistakes. Don't get offensive at all, because it's just a feedback for you. So it's just for you to learn such that you can do it later. And at the end of the project, the end of the course, you can come back with a better project. And for the last presentation, which means your exam, you will have 1 hour per team. So 15 minutes for the whole presentation together. And sometimes we go per person, depending, okay, if you need more information, we will ask, for example, okay, 15 minutes for this person, 15 minutes for the other, 15 minutes for the other, so that in total it will be 1 hour. But sometimes, okay, we already know more or less how the situation is, and it will end like in half an hour or something. But you need to prepare yourself individually, because you will have individual questions. So the course material is in this address. I already put it in the chat. What we are going to cover, don't care about this project definition. This is from the past, so it's not your project definition. I will share the project definitions with you. But you can get the slides. You have also the lectures from 2 years ago, I think. But the most important thing that you need from this website is the slides. So the slides are the same. Only some parts I may say during the lessons that, okay, these parts I will not teach it, or because it's too much for you. But I was teaching that at the time. So what are the contents that you will cover? The course is mainly taken from these books and my own experience. These are very important. These are about efficient C++ programming, really important books, but also very simple one that you can see here. You don't have to study these books, because I put the most important one in the slides. But if you are more interested to know more, okay, you can go to these resources. What are we going to cover? C++ fundamental. What is C++? Oriented programming. Who's going to? Edson is not here, or?
No, I'm here.
You're here. Okay. So I don't know if I pronounced your name correctly, so sorry if not. This is for the first lesson. We will write hello words, working with variables, expressions, conditions, loops, working with advanced function, standard template library, function templates, classes, inheritance, abstract classes, smart pointers. This I will teach you, because I think it's really important for your knowledge, but I don't expect you to have it in your final project. It's about dynamic link library. During the thing is that with the project definition, we expect you to use the concepts that we teach during the class. So you can write it very simply and say that, okay, the project is running, but you'd never use the concepts that we taught during the class. So that would not be great. These are the topics. Okay. These are the topics that we have, and we expect you to use them in an efficient way. So in an excellent way. You cannot again say, come to the presentation and say, okay, I had templates, I had this one, I had that one, but when I see them, okay, what's the use? Why you are having this here or why you are having this there? It's more about how you design it correctly. And that's why I'm saying that, okay, come to the class, start implementing your project gradually with the course, and then let's have a conversation. Let's think, and then together we come to a good design for your projects. I can start writing the project myself now, but I will not give you this answer because I want to make you think and make you design the project yourself. But okay, you can have my help there too. So, and then we go for efficient C++ programming, some best practices, and then at the end we go to Qt It's a library such that you can develop a graphical user interface. And at last we go to thread programming. Okay, this is the topics and your project definition. That's your project. No, not that big. I think it's good. You can see it, no? Okay. So the project, as I just said, the project can be carried out by a team of 3 or 4 members, but okay, you are 9, so you can be divided by 3. So let's say 3 members, each should demonstrate their teamwork by defining and assigning the tasks to each member before starting the project. So you need to define the task yourselves. The task may be adjusted during the project. It is expected that every team member can present the project individually, meaning that every team member understands and knows the project completely. Also, the work will be done by a team. That's what I already said. The students have 2 weeks to create their team. After 2 weeks, they should send an email with all the team members in CC. This is my email address. In order to inform the course instructor of their team arrangement and their chosen topic. The course instructor is me, if you are wondering. And these are the project definitions. The project definitions are defined such that, okay, if you have different interests, you can at least choose the one that interests you more. So the first one is run inference on the edge TPU with C++. So the project, okay, you see some unknown words here, but the project is not mainly about them. You're using some AI algorithms, but your focus is not there. I put even the links where you can just download those codes. Okay, it's just like, okay, you can make your hands a bit dirty with AI. You can be, if you are interested already in AI, you have some topics related to that. If you want to follow your master degree in that domain, okay, that's a good start. But the course is not about AI. The course is not about machine learning. And don't focus on the deep learning part, because I saw some people last year, they came to Q&A session and they were saying that, okay, we were busy to train a neural network. And I said, okay, why? The course is not about that. I put the link there. You can download it. The course is C++. This is C++ programming. The topics are in another applications such that it will be more interested for you. We have topics for games, for example, AI, for biomedical engineering. Last year we had more students about cancer, for example. So the topics is not the main thing that you need to focus on. The thing that you need to focus is system programming and the topics that we give during the lessons. Okay, so the project uses the TensorFlow Lite C++ API. It's an HTPU runtime library. It's for deep learning implementation. and OpenCV library, which is for image processing, to perform object classification in a live stream from a webcam or in a video file stored on the local machine. Do you know anything about object classification? No? Okay, I can explain. If you follow, for example, you're studied in computer vision domain or AI, you will learn about these topics. And these are the simplest thing that you can do in computer vision. For example, okay, we have a video of there are cameras, for example, there is a camera there. Okay, and we have a video of this room. And then object classification is that, okay, I get a frame of this class, and now I want to recognize these are people in the image. These are monitors. This is, for example, a phone. This is a keyboard. So different things. Every one of these things is a class. And then every one of them is an object. So object classification is like, okay, you say that you assign a label to every class that you have, every object that you have. Okay, clear? Okay. So detecting and tracking the object is crucial in different applications, ranging from home use robots to autonomous cars. So in autonomous cars, for example, Tesla, if you go and you see that, okay, they are detecting the cars, they are detecting the cars, the trucks, they are detecting the pedestrian, they are detecting the road. All of these things are called object classifications. Okay. Also for home use robots, for example, if you have a vacuum cleaner, a robot, very simple one, they are also doing object classifications. Okay, their input is not a camera, I mean, it's not an image, but they have ranging sensors, and then they are getting the information from them. It involves the usage of pre-trained classifiers, so you're not supposed to train any classifier. Okay. Thus, no training is required. It is expected that a graphical user interface is designed to interact with the object detection method. This is where your main work comes in. Your main work is not just a GUI, it's a backend and frontend. In programming, what does it mean frontend and backend? You will hear it if you go, for example, on LinkedIn, you will see that, okay, there are some positions, front-end developer or back-end developers. Front-end usually refers to GUI, writing user interface. If it's a website, it's just the HTML, those web programmings. Or if it's like your project, if you have a GUI working with the data that you are getting from the classes, that's the front end. The GUI is the front end. But you have also backend. And the backend is the main programming. For example, your classifier is called your backend, where you analyze the data, where you filter the data. That's the code that can be run in the backend. So you need to have front end and backend. So not only just a GUI. The final program should be run on a Raspberry Pi and a Google Cora. If a team is interested in working on this project, I can give you a Raspberry Pi and a Google Cora already. This is, when I was writing this project, I was thinking about really electronics engineers, because, okay, you need to be able to work with different devices. Also, okay, an electronics engineer can be also an AI researcher in the future. So, but again, it depends on you. The students will become familiar with basic deep learning and image processing techniques, but they do not need to propose or train such methods. It is allowed to use the existing deep learning methods, pre-trained models. However, the programming concepts given during the system programming course should be considered and used efficiently while implementing the projects. Do not forget to be creative and add some useful features to your program. So at the end, the project definition is open. You can design it. And the course is more about designing. Okay, I think I said it already multiple times. And you can just check these links. Okay, I can check it. You see the code is there. The code for deep learning part is there. You just need to understand and be able to use it in your code. But the code will not be limited to this one. Your code will be bigger than this. Okay, that was the first project definition. The second one, at the time that I was writing, I was thinking about biomedical engineering students. So detecting COVID-19 with chest X-ray, you will train it in Python in this code. Okay, this is for if you want to be more involved in deep learning and less involved in the device itself. There, I mean, for the second project, you don't care about Raspberry Pi, Google Coral, and so on. Then you go for this project. And then you will run it in C++. But the data set is there in the link that I provided here. The code in Python is there. So, okay, don't focus on the Python part. The course is not Python programming, it's C++ programming, okay? Just copy it, use it, and that's it. COVID-19 pandemic was one of the biggest challenges for the healthcare system. It is a severe respiratory disease that affects our lungs. Can cause lasting damage to the lungs that led to symptoms such as difficulty in breathing and in some cases respiratory failure. In this project, the students will use X-ray data of the lungs of normal and COVID positive patients and train a model to differentiate between them. In the previous one, we said object classification, and you can have different objects, multiple different things. Here we have only two classes, and the classes are positive patients and normal patients. So you have only, this is also an object classification, but only two classes, okay? The data is there, the training, the method, everything is there. You just learn about the, that concept. Training can be done in Python and the inference must be in C++. What is training and what is inference? If you are developing an AI method, by the way, the one who is sitting at the left, I don't have you at all. So maybe you can sit a bit like that. I think that would be better to have a more communication. So no problem, but I'm just feel like, okay, one person is left and so what I was for AI, if I want to explain what does it mean, in a very, very simple way is that, okay, you have a model, a mathematical model, and you are going to optimize the parameters of that mathematical model such that it will do the job that you need to do, okay? But how you are going to do that? You have three different stages, or in a simpler version, two different stages, train and test, okay? But in correct version, you should say train, validate, and test, okay? What does it mean in the training is that you have so many samples with the correct answer, okay? For example, you have, if it's, in this case, if it's COVID positive or normal people, okay? You have so many images of the chest, some of them are positive and some of them are negative. But you know that for every image, what is the answer? A doctor sits there and says, okay, this is for positive, this is negative, okay? But you as an AI researcher, you have that information. You have a data set of like 100,000 samples of the chest images and their correct labels, okay? Then there are different techniques. We don't go in that domain now into the details. There are different techniques that you train your mathematical models, you optimize the parameters based on the data that you have, okay? So it's like for humans, how we are training, how we are getting trained. So we see so many, for example, I see your face many times, and then I'm trained for your face. I know that it's you, no? So it's the same for everyone. So I see so many examples of that person from the moment that I'm in this class, I'm watching at your faces. So my brain is getting trained, and next time if I see you, that's the test stage. So the test stage is that, okay, now you already saw this person, so you know me. So that there is no training anymore. If I give you for example, if somebody comes and give me a photo of your face, I can recognize you. That means the test stage, okay? So that's how, let's say the most important information you need about the AI in this course. It's not AI course, it's just such that you understand what I'm saying. So the training will be done in Python, what I explained now, and inference must be done in C++. What is inference? Is the test stage. Okay, so your model is trained, your parameters are there. Now you are going to use the trained model for detecting the positive or negative patients. Okay, clear? Everyone? Clear? Okay. So again, similar to previous previous project definition, it is expected that a graphical user interface is designed to interact with the method. The students will become familiar with the basic deep learning and image processing techniques by training a simple classifier. The programming concepts given during the system programming course should be considered and used efficiently while implementing the projects. Do not forget to be creative and add useful features to your program. It's the same that I said before for the other code. Again, the code for Python programming training, the data, everything is in these links. Okay. So the third project is for students who don't want to be involved in AI at all. Okay. So it's purely a C++ project, and you can choose this one, and there is no preference for us. It's only about your own interest. The program lets the user to create multiple types of accounts, teacher, students, and parents, and allow them to do particular actions based on their privileges granted. Students should be able to edit their details, submit their assignments, and attend the test set by teachers. Teachers should be able to set assignments and tests and grade the students depending on their performance by being able to change their details. Parents should only be able to view a student's details and their marks. They should not be able to edit anything. Okay, so you have 3 different types of users, and each of them have different permissions, different things that they can do. And again, this is a copy-paste of the previous one. You need a graphical user interface to interact with the methods. And the focus of this project will be only on C++ programming. The programming concepts should be used and efficiently, and you should be creative. And the last one is for the people who wants to be more involved in gaming. So it's a 2-player chess game in C++. You know what is chess, but okay, to be more concise, chess is a board game for 2 players. It is played on a square board made of 64 smaller squares with 8 squares in each row and column. In this project, the student developed a program such that 2 players can play chess together through a graphical user interface. The programming concept given during the system programming course should be considered and used efficiently, and you should be also creative. Okay? Clear for everyone? Okay. No question?
Does every group need to choose a different project?
No. Everyone can go for the same. No problem. Okay, that's it. What happened? Nothing? Okay. So I set the project definition, the topics. About the date for your Q&A session, I was thinking about 18 after your holidays, such that, okay, you have your holidays, okay, I know you want to enjoy your time, but you also have some spare time to work on the project. We can either put it 18 or for example, it can also be during the weekend if that suits you better. I don't know. Think about that and tell me next week which one you choose. For the exam, normally we go for a Saturday. But we need to also decide about that date, but I need to check with Adrian.
It's in the exam periods. It's not.
I think so.
Before. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Because legally we are not allowed to take it before or after. I think it's like that, but I need to check it with Adrian. But your deadline would be 1 week before the exam to sending the project, because I need to have time to read your projects. For Q&A session, you don't need to send your projects to me. Okay, if someone sends it, I will read it, just to help you. But it's not obligatory. Okay. And I recommend that you send it, because during 15 minutes, we will not have much time to check it carefully and give you correct feedback. So, last year, I remember only one team sent the project to me, and they also got the best score. And really, I will not be biased if you ask me so many questions. So I know some students, they will do that. At the end, the project matters. But I know that, okay, if you communicate more, I can help you more. And then at the end, your project will be better too. Okay. I think we can start the lesson. I'm thinking if I forgot something. No. Okay. So the first lesson. Can you check if you have Visual Studio on the PCs here, because you're supposed to have.
Which Visual Studio exactly? Because there are multiple.
2017 or 20, yeah, okay,
2017 is on the.
Okay, that's good. And please open it, because during this lesson, I will ask you mostly to do some small things, such that I will be sure that, okay, you learn the topic that I explain. So today we will learn what is C++ and object-oriented programming. Okay, not completely, but okay, you will get familiar with object-oriented programming. We will write a small Hello World program like any programming course. Then we will learn about variables, constants, and enumerated constants. And at the end, I will ask you to write a small assignment. So what is C++? Have you ever had any experience with writing C++? Okay, very good. Only you?
No, I did too.
You too? Okay, you're in the back. I don't see you. So, okay, good. And about Python? All of you? Okay, so you know, okay, you programmed before. Okay, good. So C++ is a programming language used to design complex and high-performance systems. It's an influential language. Java inherited much of its syntax from C++. It's a high-level programming language. But what do I mean by high-level programming language? For example, if you compare C++ to assembly, assembly is a machine language, okay? But if you compare C++ to Python, okay, C++ is less, it's not that high like compared to Python. Python is a higher level language compared to C++. But their usage is different. With Python, you develop your ideas very fast. you want to write prototypes, then you go for Python. It's similar using MATLAB, for example. But again, MATLAB is also not, okay, to my idea, MATLAB is just a scripting language. It's not really a language. So Python, let's say, came like an alternative for MATLAB. It's somewhere in between of, we can categorize them like this: MATLAB, Python, C++, assembly. So that's the level of the languages. So, but what's the difference? I mean, C++ is a building-based language. It's not an interpreter-based language. Python is an interpreter language. What does it mean? It means that you need two steps to run your program for C++. You need compiling and then linking, okay? During the compiling, you convert your source code to object code. During linking, you combine the object code with libraries. But when you have interpreter, you convert the program by taking a single line at a time. What does it mean? You have 100 lines of code in Python, and then you have an error at the line 50. You can still run your program till the line 50 because it's an interpreter-based language. It will not see the error when you start running the program. It will see it when it's reached that line, okay? But in C++, it's not like that. If you have a syntax error in the line 50, your program will not run, okay? You cannot build your program. So you have two different stages. Once you need to build, and second, you need to link it. You have different libraries, you have OpenCV, that, and then these things should be linked together. And then you can run your program. I personally like C++ more than Python because, okay, your code may be long, and then from the start, you can see the error. You know where the error is. But with Python, you cannot do that. You need to go there and see, okay, what was the error? So it's more prone to the bugs that can happen to your code. Is there anything to like a device to get water around here? You don't know?
Na, oh, daar eerst spreekt uitleggen. Alleen ons schaap maken. Nee, zeg. Je kunt schaap combineren. Ja, ja. Maar nee. Ik denk dat wel nodig werkt in een wijze als eigenlijk. Is er iets? Op zich is het wel voor ons al heel makkelijk. We zijn het circus. Ja.
Okay. Okay, C++ is a huge language that has undergone many revisions. So it's built in 1983, and most recent version is C++ 20. So you have compilers compared to Python, where you have interpreters. Here you have compilers. And every year they add new, I mean, not every year, every couple of years they add new commands. They have experimental compilers where you have new commands, but then after a while it will come to the standard one. For you, I suggest to use C++ 17, but no obligation, you can go for C++ 22. But don't go for C++ 14 because you will be very limited. So, and in this course, we cannot cover the whole C++, but my goal is that, okay, you will be prepared such that, okay, at some point you can Google yourself, you can learn. I mean, me as a person who developed like many years, it's not like that I know all the syntax, I know all the commands. That's not the case. For for no programmers, it's like that. So we always go and Google, but the thing is that you should not trust yourself. You should always Google and think that, okay, if This command is a command that most people in their programs may use. For example, if it's a search, if it's a sorting algorithm, then probably it's already in C++. Probably it's already in a standard template library, and you should use that one. Why you should do that? Use that one because it goes many revisions. It's already optimized. It's for sure better than the algorithm that you will implement alone with one person. C++ and object-oriented programming. The course is, as I said, is more about how you become a good programmer, not how you memorize the syntax. Doesn't matter. It's not important. You need to know how to design your program, okay? When it comes to designing, we go for object-oriented programming, okay? So we have three different, we lost already someone. You're okay? Okay. So we have three different topics: encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism. These are different, the main principles of object-oriented programming, okay? What is encapsulation? Okay, it should, your code should be self-contained, a self-contained unit, and it's called encapsulation. Users of a well-defined class do not need to know how the class works. They just need to know how to use it. What does it mean? Imagine, I mean, you don't need to imagine, you have a fridge at your place, okay? You have fridge at home. You just open it, you take your stuff out, you put the food in, you use it, but you don't know how it is implemented. You don't need to know, okay, if there is a liquid coming like there, or if it's, the temperature goes down like that, or the temperature goes, so you don't know anything about the implementation of the fridge. What you know is that, okay, how to use this one. That's encapsulation. Your code should be like this. If you write a class, if I'm reading your code, I mean, not I'm reading you. If I'm using, for example, you write a library and I want to use your library in another project, okay? I don't need to know the details of your implementation. It should be encapsulated. Only the user, only the functions that need to be exposed to the user should be exposed, not more than that. The rest should be private. What is inheritance? Declaring a new type that is an extension of an existing type. So, for example, if Volkswagen is creating a car model, it's another version of, for example, Golf, then they will not start from scratch. They already have, for example, the wheels, okay? Or they already have the backbone of the car. They know how it is, so they only add some revisions to that. So that's called inheritance. So if you have, for example, in the project that we had for the students and teachers and parents, the head would be the parents, not the parents, the head of the class would be human. So you have, all of them are human. So it's human, and then, okay, students, and then parents, teachers. Okay, if you have more, for example, electronics engineer students, biomedical, so it should be a hierarchy of inheritance. You should not duplicate your code if you can use inheritance. Why shouldn't we use? Why shouldn't we duplicate our code? Can you come up with an? In which then? No, but no, but it's okay. Think.
For redundancy purposes, maybe.
Yes, but the problem of redundancy is that, okay, for example, you write a function to, for example, convert. Okay, this is just an example, to convert integers to strings. Okay, you already have that in C++. You should not do that. Okay, but imagine that that's your work. So if you write it for example, for teacher once, for parent once, for student once, and now you decided, okay, for integers now I want to add like a quotation around the text, okay? But then you have to go to 3 different locations to correct that. But you may say, okay, it's 3 different locations, it's a copy paste, I will do that, what's wrong with that? But the problem is that if you forget, what will happen? The code that was supposed to be the same, now it's not the same because you didn't correct it, okay? But if it's only one function, you go there, you correct it, and it will be corrected everywhere that is being used, okay? Clear? So that's why we say that, okay, we should have inheritance, we should define our functions such that it's, I mean, let's say encapsulation, inheritance, things like that. It's because you don't have bugs in your code. You should avoid the things that may create bugs for your code in the future. Okay, it's all about efficiency. Efficiency about the memory. I will talk about the memories later, but if you write a code, if you have a long code or short codes, the memory is not much. It's just a text file. Okay. But yes, if you create, for example, so many different variables multiple times, then we come to that problem. We will see that later. Polymorphism. Is it clear till now? Inheritance, encapsulation. Okay. Polymorphism, having many forms. There is a hierarchy of classes and they are related by inheritance. A call to a member function will cause a different function to be executed depending on the type of object that invokes the function. For now, it would be difficult for you to understand this, but polymorphism happens when we have inheritance, and here, with the inheritance, we have multiple objects created from different types. For example, created from students, created from parents, created from teachers. But they are in a hierarchy. You are calling the same function, but since it comes from different objects, that function works differently. It might seem confusing, but it's the reason behind it's again encapsulation there. That, okay, the user of your class is calling, for example, the salary of the person, but it works differently for different objects. Okay, we will see later. So if you go to an interview and they ask you what is object-oriented programming, you should mention these 3 principles and explain it with some examples. Okay. Okay. Hello World program. So I think I have Visual Studio here too. First I will explain and then we go to Visual Studio. I think it's better like that way. So to write a Hello World program, in Python you just write, okay, print Hello World. That's it. But here you need to design it. So first you need to include iOS stream. What is that? In Python you have import for, no, it's okay. You have import for importing different modules. Okay. Here you have include to import the code written in other files. iOS stream is a file from the C++ compiler itself. Okay. So it's already there and you just include it. What do you have in iOS stream? You have stdcout, which is for printing the values, printing integers or strings, okay, printing numbers or strings. So with include, I include that such that I can access to this function. What is std? Std is the namespace. I will explain what namespace is later. It's a namespace for a standard template library. A standard template library is part of the C++ itself. It's not an external library. When you have C++, you have standard template library. So the comments coming from std are from the standard template library, part of C++. And it's responsible just to print something. What is endl? C++ is a cross-platform language, similar to Python. So it's not like C#, for example. So you can write codes in C++ and run it on Linux, run it on Windows, run it on Mac, every operating system. But in Python, you write /n to add enter to your text after visualizing. Here, you need to write stdendl, because if you write /n in different programming languages, in different operating system, it will act differently. But with stdendl, it will be handled correctly in C++. Okay? So it's just adding one enter after that. So it will write hello world, and the cursor will be in the second line. What is this function? Execution in C++ programs begins in a function called main. Okay, so in Python, you can also write a main function. If you write if the name of the file is main, and then it says that, okay, that would be the your main function. But it's not compulsory in Python. But here it's compulsory. You should have a main function, and the start of run of your program start from there. But what is this function? It's just a function with this. This is the name, and this is a return value for this function. By default, we just write return 0. It's returning 0. You can write void here, which means that it doesn't return anything. Okay, but I don't recommend that. Why? Because you will forget what is the usage of that return value. The usage of this return value is that, okay, you have, for example, Word is running, okay, Microsoft Word, you are just open Microsoft Word. But you can run, you double click on the icon in your Windows operating system, it will start running, okay? But you can also write a program and call running of that Microsoft Word in your program, okay? So you program something, a script that is responsible to just run another project, another program, okay? So now imagine that you have another program that is going to run your program, which is this one, your Hello World program. But your program fails. Inside the project, for example, you wanted to write hello world, but okay, you wanted to write in a file, but you didn't have access to that file, but you want to inform the program that called you that there was a problem. How do you inform that? Through this return 0 or return minus. So you will return, for example, -1, and you say that, okay, whenever I return -1, it means that I had problem with reading the files. So this is the way that you can communicate with the program that called your program. Clear? But okay, for now, since you just run your program, you will not write another program to write your program. You don't see the usage of this int and return 0. Okay? So, and in Python, you need to use indentation to write your code. If, else, and you press tab to have the indentation to create a scope, and that's how your program runs, correct? But in C++, that indentation is just for readability, no obligation. But what is an obligation? Using these braces, opening braces and closing braces. I'm talking about these two. With these two, you create a scope. In C++, we have different scopes. This is your global scopes, and we try to avoid using that area. For example, we don't define a variable there. We don't define a function there. One of the common mistakes that I see from the projects of the students is that they define their function or their variable in the global area. While I say many times, don't do that. Okay? I'm looking at every one of you, please don't do that. So, and why you should not do that? Because we just talked about encapsulation. We said that, okay, we expose things that should be exposed. If you put something in global area, it means that every part of your code has access to that thing. So if in one of the areas you change it, you don't know what will happen later. Okay. So if I, for example, if I put, I don't know, cookies here and everyone can access that after 1 hour, I don't know if there is anything there or not. So you should know to always keep encapsulation in your mind in everything that you are using, you're implementing. Okay. Variables. A variable is a place to store information. A location in your computer memory. What time is it? In your computer's memory, in which you can store a value and from which you can later retrieve the value. Okay. When you exit a program or turn the computer off, the information in variables is lost. I think you know already this one. For example, if you open Microsoft Word, if you don't save your data, it will be lost. Saving data means that storing it on your hard disk device. Otherwise, whatever is there is not in your hard disk. It's just in your RAM memory. Okay, RAM is some place in your device, in your computer, that is responsible to just store, how do you say that? Store values that will not be remained, like for example, you're typing something, those data is in the memory, but not in your hard disk. So whenever you turn off your PC, all the data in your RAM will be erased, okay? So that means, okay, those are your variables. Your variables will be erased, okay? Permanent storage either is a database or a file on the disk. Disk means hard disk, okay? Or it can be a storage like a flash disk. Primitive data type. These are the primitive data types: integer, character, bool, float, double, void. Void is just having nothing. Data type modifiers, you can put data type modifiers before, for example, int, to make a signed in, unsigned int, short, long. Sign unsigned is very clear. Short and long, short means that, okay, it requires less memory. Long, it will double the memory size, like that. And float and double for floating points, bool for Boolean values, and char for characters. For strings, you need to go for standard template library. Then you have std string. Okay, it's not a primitive data type. Depending on different machines, you have different size for different variables, but more or less it's like this. You should be careful about underflow and overflow. So if you, for example, if you define a variable as unsigned short int, and you put a value bigger than this number, you assign a value bigger than this number to a variable defined on this one, you will have overflow. So your value will be wrong. Okay. And if you put, for example, a value lower than this amount in this short int, again, you will have underflow, and the value in your variable will be wrong. So you should be careful. You can write this one at home. You can write this part of code in your computer and see the size of these variable types on your machine. For me, it was these values. Okay, defining a variable. How you can define a variable? In Python, you just write a name equals a value, and then that will create a variable for you, okay? But in C++, it's not like that. In C++, you need to write the type of the variable before that. So here you have the variable type, variable name. You can assign it to a value or not. You can initialize it or not. You can define multiple variables of the same type in one line like this. You can write the type and then, okay, like this, and then this is the second one, so it will continue, you can have. But again, I don't recommend it. Why should you have? Because it's not readable. So write every definition of every variable in different line. So it's like this is an integer, equals to 20, equals, so the other one is like this, but I don't really recommend doing that. Case sensitivity and keywords. So C++ is the case sensitive language. So if you write, for example, bag with capital letters, it's different from bag with lowercase letters. Okay, so if you call your function a function that you write, for example, again, it's bag, for example, but with different case for different letters, then okay, it will be different things. There are some keywords that you cannot use for defining the variables. Like, for example, you cannot define a variable, I guess, with the name 4, because 4 is a keyword for C++. Type def. What is type def? Let's see how many. Okay, we have 4 slides left, and then after that you can implement something yourself. So stay motivated. Type def. With type def, you can define a variable type yourself. Okay, unsigned short int. You can. This is the type that already exists. You can name it to ushort, for example. I don't recommend doing this, but why I'm explaining this thing to you, because you as a programmer, you will read the codes from other people, and then you will see that, okay, what is this? You should know what they are, but you shouldn't, doesn't mean that, okay, these are good practices, okay? You don't go for them, but you know that, okay, if somebody does this, if you see a data type that you never heard of, probably it's defined as a type def before. And now if I put ushort here, it's as if that I put this, I write this here, okay? So they will be equivalent of each other. What is auto? Auto is something that I recommend doing that. It's the type of the variable is declared and will be automatically deduced from its initializer. It's kind of similar to what Python does. So you write, for example, an integer, it will consider it as a digit. If you write it a string, it will consider it as a string str data type. It's also the same here. So if you put 20 here, if you write it, you will write it later, I mean, in the class. If you put your mouse over, you have a question?
Yeah, about auto, like for like 20, for example, it fits in a short int, but will it like take the shortest possible data type, or will it like take the standard data type, or how does it choose if it fits in all the different possibilities?
Okay, depending on the compiler, it can change. So you can write the compiler yourself, and you say that, okay, that's my compiler, and run your C++ code with that. So it will change, but the standard one, you just go for int, not short int or unsigned int. But if you put, for example, 20.0, it will go for double. So it's more like it will choose a general purpose one. So, but again, it depends on the compiler. So auto can be also the return type. But why recommend auto? Okay, as he just asked, okay, it doesn't, okay, there is one thing. I remember when we were implementing code in our company in Iran. And at some point, okay, because we were working with network, and network was not very powerful enough, our bandwidth was very limited. We started to shorten all the variables to the thing that can fit. But at some point, we said, okay, the internet became more powerful, but our code was very limited. So we had to came back to what we were in the past. So it's also not very good to go always for shortened or, because you need to think about also the future of your program. But okay, it's not also good to use int for double. I mean, double for int, let's say, because you can store integer variables as a double too. But okay, don't do that. This is two different things. But for int, okay, you don't need to go really for short int, unless yet you really have a very limited bandwidth, very limitation in your storage. You're working with a Raspberry Pi that's okay, it doesn't have enough memory, it has only 1 gigabyte of memory, or you are developing a firmware for your devices. In that level, yes, you care about the memory if it's 1 byte or 2 bytes. But in a higher level programming, okay, you don't need to be too much careful, because always being extremist is not good. So, and why auto is good? Because if you change something, if you decide, for example, to change your code one day, it's already adjustable. So it can adjust itself, because you put just auto there. So if you assign it to another thing, it will work. We will see the usage and you will learn it. So here, if I return 20, its auto will be of type integer. Okay, so it's as if that I write first function with the return type of int. Clear? Okay, constant. We learned about variables. As their name says, their value will change, but it will not remain in the, if we turn off the PC or exit our program, it will not remain. Constants are similar to variables, but we have to assign a value to them. It's not like variables that we said, okay, we don't need to initialize them, although it's recommended to initialize every variable that you define, because otherwise you don't know what's inside that variable. But constant for constant is obligation, so you have to set a value to them. You must initialize them. But you cannot assign a new value later. When do you need it? For example, you are defining a mathematical model and it has some parameters. You can either write that mathematical model with your numbers, or you define some constants, and then, okay, those constants can be initialized when your class is getting initialized. Okay, and then, okay, your code is more flexible. It's not hard coded. If you just write it yourself, the numbers are the numbers that you write in your code. That means hard coding. But if you have some constants and the constants coming from as an input from the user, then it's more flexible and it's dynamic programming. Okay. So the absolute manner is like this. You just write define and then the name of the constant and the value. But don't use this. If you see that somewhere, you know what it is. But don't use this one, because these are compiler commands. We don't go for the commands that we have during the build. And you cannot change it during the run of the program. The best way is const like this, const int age equals to 20. So age cannot be modified anymore. Okay. Enumerated constants. We have two different enumerated constants, plain enums and enum classes. What are plain enums? In plain enums, the enumerator names, what are enumerator names? These are enumerator names, okay? Are in the same scope as the enum, and their values implicitly convert to integer and other types. Not recommended, okay? What is recommended? Enum classes. in enum classes, enumerator names are local to the name and their values do not implicitly convert to other types like another enum or int. What does it mean? I started with a main function and I said that, okay, we create scopes in C++ with braces, okay? So, and whatever we define in that scope belongs to that scope. And outside that scope, we don't have access to those variables, to those constants, okay? But here, if I define these constant names, enumerator names, inside here, it belongs to the scope of where this enum is created. But here, if I define this one, this belongs to the scope of color only. Okay, so if I want to access red, I have to write color, colon, and red. But here, I can just use red. It doesn't belong to any scope. It belongs to the scope that where color is defined. But then you don't know where it comes from. Okay? You don't know if red is for color or not. So this creates ambiguity for you. Okay? And these ones can convert to integer or other data types. So it's not like a class, it's not implicit. So you can play with that. And then, okay, because of that, it can create bugs. I explained this one, but I would ask you after, this is the last slide, to write it yourself and see the effect. Enum classes should be preferred because they cause fewer surprises that can potentially lead to bugs. Okay? So I will first start to write a Hello World program in Visual Studio. You will see, and I will show you how to run your code, debug your code in C++. But then after that, I will ask you to write this one yourself to make your hands a bit dirty. Okay. So I think. Yeah. Okay, we don't have it. Let's create it. Okay. So to create a project in Visual Studio, you just go File, New, Project. It's getting recorded, so you shouldn't be worried. Here, if I'm not mistaken, Visual Studio, Visual C++, and then Windows Desktop, and you go Windows Console app. Oh, I'm searching for the wizard. Yeah, this one. I think it's this. And then you assign a location to your where you want to store it, and then you assign a name for the project. I put it here, but you can with browse, you can change it. And this is the solution name. The thing is that in real world programming, we don't go for solutions of Visual Studio. We use CMake. CMake is a tool, is a scripting language that helps you to organize your files, your codes. Okay, and it also has a builder itself. But if I want to also cover that one, okay, we have to stay together for 1 year. So because of that, I put that aside. But you should know that, okay, if you go and work in a company, you will go for CMake. You will use CMake for organizing your files. But here we just use the solution, which is a .sln file from Visual Studio. And it will have the same name of your project name here. Okay, create. Here I have 4 different things. I have Windows application, console application, dynamic link library, stunner. In the, not last year, but the years before, I was also teaching, I will teach you, but okay, you're not supposed to implement a dynamic link library, okay? I will teach you because I just think that it's important for you. But we start now with console application. What are the difference? Console application, it's a program that runs in your console. It doesn't have any GUI. Dynamic link library is a library. You cannot run it directly. It should be used by another, for example, a console application or GUI application, and you use that library there. It's just a sort of functions, sort of different things that exist there, and you don't want to share your code directly. You will pass only your dynamic library. We will have that later, we will cover that. But for now, we just go for console application. For you, you will create a cute GUI application, but I will teach you later. But for the start, let's go for this one. I remove this one, and I put it on the empty project. We are a programmer, we implement everything ourselves. We don't ask Visual Studio to make the files for us. Why? Because, okay, then you don't know what is existing there. You will be lost already, okay? Okay. So, is it clear? Can you see it? So here I can add, right click here, add a new item. And then it will be, for here, I will choose just a CPP file, which is my main.cpp, okay? The first file that I need to create. I put my source files, which are CPP file, here under source file. I put my header files, which you will learn later, under header files, okay? In C++, we have .h and .cpp. .h is the header files where you write the declaration of your program. CPP is where you implement your program. We will see it later. Okay, you can follow me and write an Hello World program. Okay, I want to show you something. Do you see here? It was, now you don't see it anymore. So now if I want to, okay, you write it and then we try it again. You wrote it? Okay. So to build, I said that okay, C++ needs a building a stage and then running a stage, okay? So to build your project, you can either, don't do that, okay? I'm just saying first. You can either go to build and press build solution or Control-Shift-B, okay? Learn the short keys, okay? So we go for Control-Shift-B. And here I see what is being built. Built already? Yes, now. So it says, okay, it's built. Yeah, because there is no object, it's just one thing. So it's successful. But now if I want to run it, I can go again here, or I don't know if it's here or not. Ah, yeah, run. But I mean, I also can press here, but what you can do, okay, this can go to release. Okay, I need to explain this one. In debug, we have in C++, you have two modes, debug and release mode. If you are just running your program, you want to debug your code, watch your variables, what is happening inside that, all of things, you go for debug. But when you are giving your code to other people, then you go for release mode because it's faster. It's many of the steps, the compiler will try to squeeze your code and optimize it. So, but then it would be difficult to debug. So you go then for release. This one is that, okay, if you want to run, build it for a computer with 32 bits address or with 64 address. So this is x64 for that one, x86 for 32 bits of address. For now, I think it's okay. I don't want to give too much information and then you will be lost. So if I press Control F5, wait. If I press F5, it will just debug it. If I press Control F5, it will run the code. It will not debug. It will not see my breakpoints. Okay, I can put, for example, here. Oh, wait. Here. I can put a breakpoint here, as you can see. And if I press F5, it will stop there. The moment that it will seize the breakpoint, it will stop the run of the program. It will pause, let's say. But if I press Alt Control F5, it will not see it will just run the whole program together. You can right click on this one. This is delete, this is disable. Okay, you can also press it like this. I can put multiple of them, and then, okay, if you go here, you can delete all breakpoints or Control Shift F9. So if I press this one, all of them will be deleted together. So sometimes it's useful. And if you want to change them, for example, you want to say that, okay, if there is a condition, so this breakpoint will pause the run of the program if this condition is true. For example, you define a variable and you say that, okay, if your variable name, whatever it is, equals to, as it is written here, x equals to 5, then it will stop. When it's useful, when you are debugging inside a for loop, and then we want to stop when your iterator is equals to a number. These are different things that you can do, but if I now want to just run it, I press Control F5. It should show hello, but it doesn't. Access not. I hate in VUB. Can you run it now? Yeah, because I have Windows from VUB. And whenever I will use next time the PC of here. I don't know why, but it blocks my exe files when I update the Windows multiple times, but it always complains. So, okay, you will run it and you will see my thing. You can press a breakpoint here. I hope at least it will work for this one. Yeah, it doesn't let me to run my exe files. So if you press the breakpoint and then press F5, it should have stopped there. Can you do it? So if you write, for example, after this, I suggest you do like this. Int, let's just start with auto, because then you will see the effect. If I go here, if I put my mouse there, it says it's int my var. You see that? So if you, but these are not related to C++ itself. The tooltips that you see there, these tooltips come from Visual Studio, your IDE. Visual Studio is just one IDE that you can use. You can use Qt Creator IDE, or I don't know, whatever that exists, or you can use Notepad as your IDE. But okay, the thing that IDE brings for you will be very limited with Notepad. But your code should be readable such that if I open your code with Notepad, it's still clear for me. Because here, for example, imagine, look at this one. My var plus 2. You will learn about these things, how to work with the variable later. But I put here, you see what I can see from Visual Studio. It's already marked, highlighted. But even if it was inside another file in another things, if I press F12, it will go immediately to the definition of this one. Look, my variable, my cursor is on my var, okay? And if I now press F12, it goes to the definition of that. But I don't have these abilities in Notepad, but I still might be interested to open your code in Notepad. It's not like that, okay, you see now my Visual Studio doesn't work well. So what should I do? Sometimes I don't have even Visual Studio, but I don't have these things. How can you help me to understand your code? By following a naming convention, okay? Such that I know, okay, if you write M, I will share the naming convention of this class with you. If you write M underline and then the name of the variable, I know it's a variable belongs to a class. It's a private variable belongs to a class. If your function is written like with a camel case, with a big letter, starting big capital letter, then I know it's a public function of a class. If it's with a lowercase letter, it starts with lower, then I know it's a private function of the class. I don't need to go to the definition of the class to be able to understand your code. That's called readability, okay? So, but you have Visual Studio to work with. What can we do next? You can start running. You have 15 minutes. So I suggest you implement this one now, where you can write all of them inside your main function. Okay, okay. Do you have any question? Is it clear? I go to sleep.
Enige betere functie is dat alle zo speciale dingen, zo speciale tekens makkelijker schrijfbaar zijn, maar voor de rest.
Dat is letterlijk geen voordeel, al zegt die behalve als je shit van moet schrijven. Als je van moet schrijven. Dat is de enige voordeel. Dat is
Maar als ik die dat weet, dan normaal schrijven.
alleen nog van schrijven.
De beste van waar ik gewoon.
Nee, dat is oké. Ik kan daar, dus ik zit hier voor de kosten.
Maar dat is die tekens ook wel hebben. Ja, shit, gewoon automatisch al.
Nee,
Zo
Yeah, so, but you don't have Visual Studio installed? So it's an open software. There is an but you cannot install.
Okay, if you don't have Visual Studio, but on this PC you should have it.
You can now do the Windows Store.
the PCs do have it.
Yeah, but the one, I think that one is Visual Code, not
No,
Visual.
just Studio also. I have it already, but you can just download it. Are you sure?
Yeah, but it will take a lot, and it's at least 2 gigabytes of,
Yeah,
At least it should be.
The download speed is quicker. Yeah, so that's
yeah, but later you can install that, I mean, you need Visual Studio for your project, but not Visual Code, because then we need to go for CMake and those things. But for today, you can use just Google. Okay, I can send you the link. Okay, like this one, for example. There are so many online compilers. Send the link. Chats. I send it to our Teams link. And those are online compilers that you can use to implement and run.
Okay, start debugging and I see the difference. Okay. How about you?
I have Bill there, so probably wrote something. Probably forgot
One thing. Don't do something like that. If you are using scopes like this, okay, it's not as synthetic as syntax error, but it's not readable. If you all have your,
the page.
all of them should be similar, and I recommend this one.
Yeah.
for you. You get an error?
Yeah.
It's the error.
Bill there.
This one, redefinition of this one, double click on this one and press no, and then go to the output again and double click on this one. Okay, you have a definition of somewhere.
But you see how you can debug your code? It's very
Yeah.
clear. If you read it, then you can find what is the error.
The power of lines.
Good, good. Run it. It is L, not 1. And press Ctrl F5. And go on.
Why?
But can you press Ctrl Shift P? But you wrote header, but which it shouldn't be there. Right click on source bar and add a new item, and then write CPP and write main here, main CPP.
Je krijgt een beeld erop.
And then right click on this one and header right. What is the original Visual Studio that you have?
Dat is deze lijn.
Okay, can I have a note?
Maar ik denk dat dat juist daarom een is omdat je altijd niet weet wat een string is.
I'm clicking on this one and then here.
Maar daarom was het de objects. Dat is de ding.
Or if not, I can go here and then press remove and then it asks, okay, do you want to remove it just from the source bar? I said no, delete it also. So that was deleted. You want it here. But write it and try to run it before presentation. And that's where you have.
Yeah.
Is it normal just get a number of the like 0, 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, but see the difference, read the code and on this, because this is in plain enum and enum constant. And see what's happening. I can explain it. What time is it? You have 5 minutes.
So.
Okay. In the last 5
Maar
minutes, I will explain what
Omdat
is
het
the difference.
Okay.
The T, let me explain.
Ja, ik denk als je inklink hebt, dat je de lage
Okay.
speciale. Als je gewoon deze dan is dat gewoon je iets.
Should I explain it? Okay. So we had two different enum constants, enumerators. Okay. One was enum, this one, plain enum and enum classes. Okay. This one is plain enum because it doesn't have the word class as you can see here. Okay. Please everyone listen to me because this is important and you will use it in your project, and then we will ask you, okay, why you are using this one and not that one. Okay, these are one of the questions. So it's enum, the difference is just this and this. You see, you don't have the class here and you have it. I mean, you have it here and not there. I'm defining them exactly the same. The only difference is this. Okay. Now here, when I define season, I can initialize it with winter, like as it is now. Okay. Because I said, okay, the enumerators belongs to the scope that season is defined in. So it belongs to here. I don't need to write anything before that. But for this one, if I want to initialize that, I need to write days before that, because Wednesday belongs to the scope of days only. It doesn't belong to the scope where days is defined. Okay, clear? So this is one thing. Here I said, okay, we can, with plain enum, they can be converted easily to, explicitly converted to any integer type. Okay, let's say something. The number of this one is 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I can write, try this one. Right here in front of summer, just write equals 200. Okay. If you write 200, the number of this one, this would be 0, 200, 201, and 202. Okay. So it will always, it's an enumeration, but you can define the numbers yourself too. Okay. But it's the same for here too, so it doesn't matter which one. But another difference between these two enums is that, okay, you can convert it. So because of that, you can compare S, which is of type season, with 4, which is of type integer. Okay, it works and with no problem. But here, if I want to compare D, which is of type days, with Monday, okay, I have no problem. But the only problem is that I need to write days before that. Here, if I want to compare it with 4, I have to typecast it. I have to convert it to days, and then I can convert it. Then I can compare it. Okay. Some compilers will report an error here. Some compilers, if you don't write days. Okay, if you don't write days, you do like something like that. Some compilers will report errors. Most compilers report errors. Some compilers report only a warning. But if you work in a company, they define in their CMake file such that every warning will be treated as an error. Why? Because you as a programmer should solve all the warnings too. You should not come to the project presentation with so many warnings, because then I will tell you, okay, why you didn't solve the warnings, because warnings are the main source of the bugs. Okay. So also when I want to show S, I had no problem. I could just visualize it. I mean, print it, because it could be converted implicitly to integer. But here we need to typecast it to int and then print it. Okay, that's the difference. Clear? The thing is that why we use this one, because we always like to know where our variables are coming from. They are coming from days. The function, you see, I can write, for example, using namespace std, but I don't do that. I always write it std. Then I know stout is coming from std, not another one. Because, for example, an example is this. You define a function abs for absolute definition in your library. There is one in standard template library. There is one in OpenCV. But if you just write using namespace and don't write OpenCV colon, or if you don't write std colon abs, then it's ambiguity. It's ambiguous for you from which library this function is coming from. So that's why we go for enum class, such that we know this enumerator constant is coming from that enum class. Clear now? Clear? Okay. That's it. That's the lesson for today. And for next week, I'll try to find your team and think about the dates that we can have the Q&A and your exam. Have a nice day.